think that should work. This is Luca Mino talking to you for Learn to Unlearn, coming back in full force. From a different angle today, from a lazy boy, instead of sitting down at the computer, because I'm having a hard time with that. I still am really having a hard time with that. The whole thing about this show is about comparing, giving us tools to compare the way life was before to the way life is now. And before, for example, I didn't have a big beard like this with wings underneath. And at the end of this video, I just might have it cut off too, because I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep it. This is the results since November 18th, when I went in for surgery for my cancer, 4th stage cancer when I went in. Anyway, that's another story. But I let my beard grow ever since then. No shaving, no nothing. Believe me, I couldn't do anything. After that operation, it took me until now, which is pretty well the end of February 2021, to really be able to move and to start to think about coming back to normal life. So if we want to compare what it was like before to what it is now, all we have to do is put one beside the other. Literally GMO and organic. And that's basically all you have to do. One is fake in general, and the other one is the way it's supposed to be. It's from the heart. In other words, what is patriarchy today, and what came from matriarchy, the matriarchs, and why for the last hundreds of years or thousands of years they're trying to asphyxiate the sacred feminine. We really need an ass kicking. We really need an ass kicking. When I was living in Canada for the last 20 years plus, I lived in the beautiful province of New Brunswick, in the Maritimes, for about 20 years or so. And the capital of New Brunswick, Fredericton, boasts a beautiful university. And somebody who came to be my friend, but who I only met maybe twice, he's a friend to me here, but I've never really met him that long or spent time with him at all. Dr. Roland Christian really blew me away. He was the native studies teacher at the time, okay? And when he gives speeches, they stand up and they applaud and they give standing ovations. It's amazing. And as soon as he comes into the podium, they applaud. And some of them literally stand up, and then everybody else stands up, and it's a standing ovation before he even says anything, okay? Long story short, they come in, he comes in, sits down, and everybody stands up and applauds and woohoo, screaming and yelling and everything like that. And finally everything calms down and quiets down, and he says, "Good evening." And the people chuckle, and when it comes down to quiet again, he says, "I just thought I'd let you know that where I come from, Mohawk Territory and Six Nations, Onondaga, we see clapping as really impolite and making noise as really impolite. I just thought I'd let you know that." And he starts his lecture like that. Think about it. Right after they applaud, and that's because if they really took the time to get to know him and to get to know who he is, they would have known better. They wouldn't have they wouldn't have clapped at all. It's just to let you know, we're the conquering authority. We're the conquering race. Something else that doesn't exist. That's what I mean. Like, we really need a whooping. We really do. We're so used to just living the way we live, doing what we do, and that's coming up. So I want to grab another example too, 9/11, okay? Just grabbing one example that I can think of, because that's what's going around. They're prostituting that stuff on in commercials now uh, and on the internet once again. Uh, Before 9/11, on 9/11, shortly after, shortly before, whatever, people that were working on the stock market, they made money on dead people. Okay, they made money. There were put options. That it's called put options. You can check out the stock market. Go to Google. I'm surprised the pictures are still there. American Airlines and United Airlines. All the stock drops, and they prepare for it, and they make money. And it's kind of betting on stocks and stuff. I don't know a thing about it, but I saw that, and I thought of that recently because that gives a really good example of what people are like nowadays. You know, we'd kill our mother if we could make money on it. They made money on people. That means that they had foreknowledge of 9/11, and you know, they played with the stock market and they made money off of dead people. So, you know, making money on the death of their own tribe. That's how the Indian would put it. Making money on the death of your own tribe. I can't believe it. I can't even, it's hard for me to even say. And that right there is exactly the opposite. This is what I'm trying to say. It's polar opposite from what the Indians on Turtle Island. That's what it was called before 1492. Those, you know, the warriors, the ones who knew how to put other people's lives before their own. So, you know, giving your life for the tribe. You know what I mean? So it's exactly the opposite of what I'm talking about. And for strangers too. Again, so all you have to do, if you want to understand what's going on today compared to before 1492, you know, look back and see how things were done. Look back and see how everything was in balance with Mother Earth, in sacred balance with Mother Earth. You know, uh, and it was an understanding, it was a responsibility that the people had. You know, none of this, you know, being owned or being subject to, you know, the crown or whoever, you know, or a material thing that you have power over and that you can do anything with. No, you know, it wasn't like that at all. To the native and to the native cultures everywhere, I'm pretty sure, those who understand the circle and the web of life, it's all about living what they know to be true, the original teachings. You know, and, you know, most of the quotes today are just being prostituted, and they're always on the internet, and they're always on Google, and you can find them, you know, quotes like uh, the ones we're showing right now. When we learn to respect all life, we learn to love all life. Or be kind to everything that lives. You know, there are many. And the Native Americans are losing their lives daily. They're losing their grandmothers and their grandfathers' graves, as we saw in Standing Rock. And the pipeline companies just bulldoze straight through. Not a problem. Rip up the sacred burial ground. You know, they don't even have the right to be there. It's on stolen land. And I said to myself, you know, I wonder. Not a word about the feds, right? Maybe we would have heard more about them if we went to tear up Arlington Cemetery to lay down pipe. The Indian is facing more survival threats daily than we can possibly imagine. You know, that saying, just go to the res or try to stay and live on the res for one day. And so, you know, this is what the water protectors were doing at Standing Rock for all of us. They were protecting nature, as they always do, their brothers and sisters, all the people, the plants, the insects, the birds, and the fish, protecting the water from what? Well, from us, really, from greed, you know? And this is one angle that very few people will make public because it's not very popular. Because in their hearts, deep down, everybody knows what's going on or what the truth is to some degree. And to most, they rest in peace with their pipeline jobs and their double car garages and getting a handsome paycheck while knowing what the company's doing behind the scenes. You're talking corruption, right down the line. They remain quiet and complicit, but nobody looks at that. And the funny thing is that, this is the pipeline that Joe Biden is talking about. This is the one he's referring to. And geez, that's the one that I heard the most corruption come out of. Isn't that funny? And these settlers, this is what we are, okay? The settlers that live here now, I don't want to say white people, but the Europeans, and we know who we're talking about, the people who stole the land from the Indians to begin with, right? Now they're enjoying such a great life with the security from a corrupt job, from a corrupt company. To give one example, Trans-Canada Pipeline. You want to hear it? Everybody's screaming and complaining about job losses, right? And that's all you hear on the news. Not once have I heard, talk about the environment or the water table or one spill, just one spill. No, nothing like that. Nothing about the corruption of it all or the danger to everybody involved, the catastrophe that would happen for millions of people when and not if the pipeline fails. Okay? Because they're meant to fail. And this is what I want to share with people. And I have to read this as I go because I don't want to miss a minute of this, or I don't want to miss a second of this, because this goes by in the news maybe once and bleep, everybody forgets. Take a moment to look at Trans-Canada Pipeline. The very pipeline in question here, XL Pipeline. Look at somebody called Ivan Vokes. Vokes. Ivan Vokes. On June 6, 2013, this guy testifies. Trans-Canada Pipelines has a culture of non-compliance and deeply entrenched business practices that ignore the legally required regulation and codes. The mix of political and commercial interests alone allows the industry to claim they exceed federal requirements when they're building substandard pipelines with no enforcement or accountability in the process. That's a quote from him. And we're going to show a link on the article for that, where to go about it, And what about the companies? Ask them if they care, What about the people? This is what I'd like people to understand when you hear the word cognitive dissonance. This is exactly what it is. I don't want to look at it. No, we don't want to talk about it. No, just look the other way. Just protect your own. Be selfish. That's it. Yeah, we saw that leak in the pit on the pipe. We just put the tape down and put tape over it, and we just filled it back up. Hello? As very few people know, again, the Native Americans are standing up. And they are the water protectors, not protesters. And they are the warriors. Why? Because they're literally protecting you and I and our families from what would happen in a case, like a spill. They're standing up for the rest of us. An elder shared gently one time. He said, they're here fighting for all the people, all the life downstream. They're not even talking about themselves, And Trans-Canada continues to prove itself a danger to society. It's unsafe and it's a threat to the environment. It's a danger to life itself. But, as always, follow the money, right? Too many people aren't thinking out of the box in here. They don't see the real danger. They don't see the threat, the universal threat. One well-placed spill, that's all it's going to take, just one, to affect millions of people. And you know how they say 10 drops of water in a 50,000-gallon water tank will ruin it. So you can just imagine, and the Indian knows this. He knows, he's been watching us, capitalists for the last 500 years. They know what we do. They know how we work. Imagine being one of them and, having your heart in the land and just seeing what they're doing today. What we're doing if we're not talking, about it or, taking action or something. And even Oren Lyons said it in a quote. He says, "You guys have been trying to make us capitalists for the last, since you got here, and we don't value what you value." The fact that the Indian is spiritual, just that in itself. It's in the words that he uses, and it's also in his actions. It's mostly in his actions. Anyway, I'm sorry I had to read through that most of the time, but I wanted to thank you all for giving me the chance to share tradition. For I wanted to thank you all for keeping that space in your heart, and thank you all for being a part of these issues, most important and urgent in these times. We got to spread the word. Just think about it. One good, well-placed spill, just like that. 10 drops in the river, and it'll pollute it. That's how it works. And this isn't just oil. This is like tar sands, okay? This is dirty oil. It's a lot worse than just oil itself. Anyway, do your research and check out Ivan Vokes. Look it up. Don't believe me, look it up. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Learn to Unlearn. It could be fun.